Lucy.
Yes.
I don't know who's allowed us to do this. Who's like signed this off?
Literally.
This feels a little bit illegal.
Literally, like I'm like, oh, is this in work? Is this not? Like, it's a bit different.
How are you?
I'm good.
I've just watched you graduate from Pixel FC. How do you feel?
I feel good. It feels like uni again. That I've just graduated, but something completely different experience. I feel like that community, I mean, I've never actually experienced a community like that, and to be stepping out of this program and now into the industry, back to sadly a male-dominated space, I feel like I'm able to picture in my head what I want it to be like, which is basically this program. So hopefully, the more programs that happen, the more cohorts, it can actually make an industry like that.
Yeah, and what is this? What sort of stuff have you been up to with them over the last kind of 5-6 months?
I mean, what haven't we been up to? I feel like we've literally partnered with every brand you could think of. Obviously Google Pixel is the brand we've been working with. We've been given a little cheeky pixel as well, which is quite nice, can't complain. But actually who we're connecting with, so we did a workshop with YouTube, which for me, someone who's just recently started a podcast, trying to find my voice in the industry and see how to edit as well as actually be in front of the camera. YouTube workshop was so important, because even little things of what's your logo, what does that look like, what's your name on there, because I had it as Lucy Casey and they were like, well, you need to have something that's a bit more catchy, so then I changed it to the Arsenal Human so that it's, you know, my brand straight away. So just little tips like that, I feel like I've learned a lot. And then actually going to ITV, BBC, it opened my eyes up to so many different roles, which I didn't think happened. Like right now, obviously at talkSPORT, I'm behind the scenes vision mixer, and I feel like I'm very lucky that I'm exposed to a lot of roles. But then when I went like Wembley Stadium, I feel like you see so many more roles. So it was really good to just open my eyes to even more. It's a bit overwhelming, but hopefully with the right connections, and it's a very good support network, can actually navigate where I fit in fully.
I was going to say, does it ever feel a little bit overwhelming? Because I still don't really know what I want to do, and I've done so many different things and like kind of gone into this role in like a really weird squiggly way, and I still don't really know what I want to do. Like I'm enjoying doing little bits like this in front of the camera, but my job is mostly behind the camera, and like I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Genuinely, I'm like, does anyone actually know what they're wanting to do in life or what they're meant to do right now? Because I'm sort of just trusting the universe that I'm on the right path, and whatever I'm doing right now will lead to that. But I do feel like, it is sort of just a bit of the unknown. I, like what you were saying earlier when we were chatting, I do have big emotions, I know that, and I think I've realised that even more in this programme. It's brought out quite a raw side to me that I didn't know, that working with clubs like Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal fan from like the age of 10, especially the women's side, working with them and meeting the players, I didn't realise how much of an emotional expectation I put on that. So now when I look back at the reels and how it's actually on the Arsenal social media, like for me, that is a pinch me moment, but also the amount of emotion that went into that, it is overwhelming, and I don't think I was ever prepared for that. I don't think you can prepare for that though. But from that one experience itself, I realised it's actually good to have emotion, because then it shows you're passionate, you want to do it, and I feel like I'd do a better job with my emotion, whereas if you're a bit more rigid, a bit more like just staring at the camera, a bit structured, you don't get any personality, it's just not flowy. So I've learned that as well, but it definitely can get overwhelming. There's a lot to focus on.
I think emotion is great. I'm a very emotional person. I'm a crier. I'll cry at anything, like happy, sad, I'm crying. And that can be quite challenging, like you picked up on earlier, working in quite a male-dominated space, like when you are quite an emotional person, and you may be around people that aren't as emotional, or like see those emotions maybe as a weakness sometimes. I actually think it's your greatest strength, being able to show your emotion, but it's not how everyone sees it. But how do you find that, kind of like dealing with sometimes that negative side where it is still very male-dominated, and those still sometimes are the loudest voices?
I think it's tricky, because in certain situations we could be talking about certain topics or not talking about certain topics. So for me, obviously watching Arsenal women or just the WSL as a whole, I want to be talking about games like that. And then for some reason in the male-dominated spaces, they're focusing on the Premier League, or even they'd focus on League 2 before they look to the WSL. So I think it's about changing that narrative, and I'd love for that to change. But it feels like right now with the emotions, I'm thinking, why aren't you covering this? Why aren't you doing this? And for me, I hope that can change in the future, but like right now I feel it inside. I talk about it with, I'm lucky obviously the girls I've met on this programme, but just for me, like my friends and family, I've got a good support network to offload to, but I'm hoping that in like 5-10 years, however long it takes, we can have this Google Pixel programme as the format and the layout for the industry, so you have that support network in that room, and with it, you thinking, oh, did that word or that phrase they just said, did that offend you? It would just be automatic, like, we'll dump that, like, let's educate this person on why that's wrong, give them the tools. So I'm hoping that's where it can definitely go in the future.
It's even like really little things. So I'm actually a Leeds United fan,
Rough.
but I have adopted Arsenal women as my women's
I feel like
team.
it's a common thing. Come join us.
And the other day I was sat in the office and somebody said something along the lines of, oh, but like your team didn't win the Champions League, and I was like, but they did. And they were talking about the men's Champions League, and I was sat there like, but they did. And he was like, what? I was like, Arsenal, and he was like, what? I was like,
genuinely,
yeah, like last
the
week.
language you use is so important.
Yeah.
Like I've always been like, oh, Arsenal men, Arsenal women, because if you have to call them Arsenal women, why don't you say Arsenal men? So I've been very hot on that a lot, and I feel like that's something
like
you find in the space. Yeah, because even as a vision mixer, I write the straps, so I put Chelsea won the treble, and then some people were questioning it a bit like, oh, Chelsea won, and I was like, well, they did win the treble. I'm not putting Chelsea women, because unless I then put Chelsea men won the conference league, you know, you've got to, unless you're using it for the men, you shouldn't use it for the women. So I think just in your role you can have that impact. It might seem minor, but for me I felt quite good that day. I was like, yeah, it's just Chelsea. So as a whole, that club got a treble that day, which is congrats to them.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
Sad for us,
I know.
congrats to them.
But although speaking of Arsenal, I don't know if you've seen, but the news, we just had the news that next season they're going to play all of their WSL games at the Emirates.
So good.
Are you going to be at the Emirates for every
best.
single game?
100%. I mean, this season I've basically been juggling going from talkSPORT in the morning, doing a morning shift, straight to the games, because we had, I want to say about 7 or 8 games at the Emirates this season, and now it's up to it, which is so good. For me, like, I got into Arsenal women when I was about 10, so Meadow Park is always going to be my favourite stadium. It's always got a special place in my heart, but I'm so excited that now more people can watch it, because I think it's that accessibility, it's a better location to have to get to if you're travelling, and there's more seats, so you don't even have to support Arsenal, you just support the women's game or just football as a whole. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
It is a nice day out at the Emirates as well, and like just the atmosphere, seeing like, you know, we did have the stats today about attendance has been down, but every time I've been to a game at the Emirates, it's been like 40,000 in attendance, and that like buzz filling that stadium, it is really magic, and that's why they can, you know, pull out some great performances there as well. I think, like, you know, the fans really help that.
You definitely do notice a difference between the away games and the home games. So I feel like all the home games, you've just got everyone chanting, and it's just so good to see. It makes you feel alive as well, that community, and I do feel like there definitely is a difference between the men's game and the women's game, like we know that, but it's about appreciating the differences in both, and one thing I love is the inclusivity in the women's game. You can go there, whatever gender expression, sexual orientation, race, ethnic minorities of welcome, like everyone's welcome, and it's just really, really encouraging.
I think those differences are what we need to celebrate. I mean, that's how kind of I got into women's football, because my dad is a sports photographer, mostly football, cool. And he does a lot of women's stuff, and he used to take me to the games when I was, you know, this big, and that's how I got into it, and that's why I support Arsenal, because they were the first team I went to watch. But like, you couldn't really, he would never have taken me to those men's games, because you wouldn't really want like a 8-9-year-old, and he
even
would,
safety.
Yeah, he would, because he would be pitch side and I would be in the stands, and like it was just so like friendly and safe. I mean, you definitely couldn't do that, you know. But there was only about 10 people there, so he had an eye on me. But that's how I got into it, and that's why I really love it, because it is so inclusive and it is so different to going to watch the men's game.
No, definitely. I completely agree with that. I think that's why my dad, when I was about 10, 11, why he wanted to get me involved to watch female role models, because there weren't too many. Like, obviously I knew the likes of Kelly Smith, but only through hearing of her, and then suddenly I went and I was watching her, the likes of Kim Little, who obviously now has lifted the Champions League trophy. Like, for me, watching her from when I was 10 to now 22, seeing her on that, it was just amazing. It was a real full circle moment, so I'm really happy that she got to do that and to see how the games develop. I mean, obviously part of this programme, Karen Carney has been a big help, and she obviously was just speaking then, reflecting on the programme as a whole, and saying how what we're doing right now, us 12 girls, we're hopefully showing other people that they can do this as well. So I'm excited for future cohorts on this programme.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see what you do, because you're going to do big things. I just know it. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you.